Equity is a key priority in urban and regional planning, particularly because the field has historically been so discriminatory and unjust. Practices such as redlining, which made it harder for minorities to get reasonable mortgages, and urban highway construction and renewal, which tore up minority neighborhoods, split them in half, and displaced whole communities, have caused huge amounts of harm and led to significantly increased inequality. It is clear, therefore, that planning needs to work to rectify these failures and to improve the situation of the underserved. Inequality needs to be fought with equity, but equity can take many forms. To begin with, distributional equity. Distributional equity means focusing resources towards people who have less, whether that is less money, less access to public transit or healthy food, or lower quality air. Distributional equity is about the results. Second, procedural equity. Procedural equity means engaging people in decision-making processes who would otherwise have less of a say, whether because they have no time to come to meetings, because they don't trust that their voices will be heard if they do come, or because of something else entirely. Procedural equity is about the process and about the intention. Finally, intergenerational equity. Intergenerational equity means thinking about the future and ensuring that we aren't making people's lifestyles today possible by sacrificing the health, wealth, or other well-being of people in the future. That is a key aspect of planning, thinking about the future, making sure that the future will still be possible. There are, of course, other kinds of equity, and these are very important as well, but that is not the main point of this video. The main point of this video is a problem, and that problem is that not everyone cares about equity. As planners, it is our ethical duty to do so, but we will often have to work with people and organizations that are less committed to the cause. And that begs the question, when you find yourself in that situation, what should you do? How can you live up to your values, and how can you still make a positive difference? When have you fulfilled your ethical duty? And that question, for better or worse, brings us into a little bit of moral philosophy. It's a long-standing debate in philosophy as to whether the right outcome or the right intention is more important in determining an ethical action. One group of philosophers, notably including John Stuart Mill, argues for the utilitarian side, wherein the most ethical action is the one that produces the most good, no matter what the intention. The other side, notably including Immanuel Kant, argues that the most ethical action is the one performed with the best intention, regardless of the results. For one person working in the planning field, this second view is much more worthwhile, as outcomes rely on so many other factors that they can never be guaranteed. The most important thing that one can do to improve equity is to act regularly, and act with good intention. But what specifically does that mean? What can you actually do? Well, first, as one person, not everything. There is only so much that you yourself will be able to do without the help of other people and other organizations. But one of those things is you can work on yourself. You can recognize when you might have biases, and you can work to address those so that you are not part of the problem. Second, you can look outside yourself. You can find other people to help you, people who share your goals, whether in government, in your company, or in the community. And chances are they're looking for you too. So how can this apply in practice? Well, take this example. Say you work in a municipal government and your city is undertaking a project that will likely cause the gentrification of an area. Residents are opposing this project, but they aren't as engaged in meetings as other people, and the city doesn't seem to care and isn't listening to their reasons for opposing the project very well. You want to prevent the displacement of these people. In this case, it could be good to push for more direct engagement with the residents, pointing out that their voices aren't being heard as much in the meetings. This would improve procedural equity, and likely the outcome as well, but instead of calling it equity, you could call it an effort at consensus building and community trust, or something similar, in order to get more people on board. But let's look at another case. Say you're a consultant, this time, brought into a city to make a plan for improving the air quality. You notice that many of the places with the worst air quality are home to underserved populations. You want to point this out, but the city doesn't seem to care for equity at all. In this case, it could be useful to reframe the issue as one of air quality alone and recommend that the city focus more on resources for improving the air in the worst places, as this is simply the logical thing to do. You should also likely mention that these plans should be made in close collaboration with residents, so as to prevent a situation of gentrification with displacement from occurring when the projects are implemented. So, in the end, the most important thing to do is act. Call out issues, pitch them in ways that make sense even without the specific equity language. Make sure that you yourself are not part of the problem, even unintentionally. Gather people around you and keep trying to make things better. You cannot do everything, but you can always make some difference, even if it is a small one.